All right. Hey, everybody. And I'm Marcus C. Williams. Welcome to The Divide. Hey, everybody. I'm Marcus C. Williams, and you're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3. Thank you for tuning in to Rochester Free Radio today. Man, have we got a great show for you today, and we're going to jump right into it. So today, what we've got for you, let's start off with all the crazy politics that we've got going on. I mean, we could start on the local level, we could start on the international level, but boy, howdy, is it crazy everywhere. So let's start local. Locally, we've been having the last couple of weeks, there's been some serious issues on the city level with these reassessments and stuff. I'm not going to go into it too deep, but the fact of the matter is this. We've got an increase in reassessments around the whole city of Rochester, where I live, and basically the long and short of it is these prices have been jacked up because our elected officials have been prioritizing people who are not from the city, who are from outside of the city, and many even from outside of the state, to come into the city to buy up all the property, which is making it extremely high cost as far as the property goes because they're overvaluing them when they overpurchase the price, and regular everyday citizens are not able to buy. Now, this is a very serious issue which needs to be addressed by our elected officials. You would think that they would care to address these issues before they come because it's their job to look out for the people and see what's coming. They're the ones who pass the laws, like city council is a legislative arm of this level of government for us, and they're the people who could pass laws to make sure that this isn't what's happening, or it slows down, or that it's prevented completely, within reason. I'm all about new development and buying property and stuff like that, and I encourage it. However, we have to understand that we need to put a focus on our citizens. We have a very serious graying of the population here, the silvering of the area of our county. And many people are being priced out of their homes because they're elderly and they can no longer work. So their taxes go up a couple $100. That's the difference between them being in a house and being homeless. That also is the same thing for many people who are everyday workers who are struggling to make ends meet that own their property. The property values go up a little bit and they're pushed out of their homes because they're not able to afford some taxes. This is very, 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 very important. And this is something that our elected officials need to be addressing on the local level. But now, since it's an election year, we've got elected officials coming out and talking about, oh, we're going to do petitions and stuff like that. But if you're on city council, I don't need you to be sponsoring a petition. Petitions don't do anything. You're one of the members of the legislative body. I need you to write some legislation. Write some legislation. Bring it to me, the people, to us, the people, to we, the people, and then let us say, hey, we could sign on for that. Let's push this forward. But don't just give me a petition and tell me, oh, we think stuff is bad. Of course we think stuff is bad, and it's not a thing. We know, but that's kind of like playing in our face. And it's not just something that happens on the local level, it happens on the county level, it happens on the state level, and it happens on the federal level. They tell us stuff like things are outside of their power. I'll give you a great example. Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden is the president of the United States of America. The previous president to him, whether you love him or hate him, was Donald Trump. Okay? Fact. These are facts. When Joe Biden got into office, the second that he got into office, he tried to rescind almost everything that had been done underneath the Trump era, including the most favored nation clause, which drastically reduced the price of all medicines across the board, like insulin, inhalers, everything, every single type of medication. It also gave Medicare the ability to actually negotiate with drug companies over the prices and over the medical services that they were being provided, because you, as much as I know, that these people that are in the government, when they write up different costs and stuff like that, it's always like you're paying for a golden toilet or you're paying for a golden hammer when you could just be having a regular one. There's no reason why in the military regular everyday hammer that you can go to the corner store or that's a hardware store, go to Home Depot and get, that would be like $12, should be $5,000. And this is what we've seen continuously in things like Medicaid and Medicare and stuff like that because of the way that the billing goes. But when Trump was in office, he got rid of that and it was starting to peel away. And it would have been great if Biden would have left the most favored nation clause in place. But the second he got in, he took it and got rid of it, right? Now he's talking about, oh, well, I'm lowering the insulin prices to $35 or $39, whatever he's saying that is now. And that's crazy to me because the price actually would have been like $10 if he would have left the most favored nation clause in place, because it meant that the companies that are selling the drugs and stuff here would not be able to charge America more than the lowest cost that they're charging a foreign nation. There are drugs here right now that you can pay $300-400 for, but in somewhere like India or the Middle East or South America, it's $10. It's $10. Same company, same drug, not generic, same exact thing. Okay, but Biden got rid of that and he said, oh, well, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Well, what are you doing? You took all of this that we had as opportunity and you gave us this little small thing and you're telling us that everything is fantastic. You're playing in our face. And that's the same thing that the local government is doing with these assessments, you know, and then they'll tell you that they're all good for us and everything. And I want to take a quick pause. And I want to let you know, if you're watching us online, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel and make sure that you're sharing the video. Okay, so that way more people can hear us and get to know what's going on. If you're listening to us on the radio, make sure you go on YouTube on the Marcus C. Williams channel. Like, subscribe, share. We're also on Rumble, the Marcus C. Williams channel. And definitely like, subscribe, and share. But going back to these reassessments where they're playing in our face, they're like, oh, well, you know, we'll do this and we'll do that. We see it's a problem, but you knew. You're the ones who passed the laws. You're the ones who are doing these things ahead of time. You're just not saying anything until the people say, hey, man, this is a problem. But you saw that it was there before. You saw that it was coming up, and you saw that it would be an issue. Okay? We have to be very clear and cognizant on these type of things, that these people are our elected officials, and they're not going to change unless we hold them accountable. Period. Going back to the federal level, we've got the border crisis that's going on, this massive invasion of illegal aliens pervading our nation, tens of thousands coming over every day. It's crazy, right? Like, we're getting thousands upon thousands every day that we know about, that are getting caught, that are going through processing. This doesn't include the illegal aliens that are getting away, the gotaways they call them. Tens of more thousands of them every day. And you guys already know that we don't have enough manpower and that Joe Biden has told them not to hold any of these people. So imagine that. You can't use any force. You can't hold them. You can't stop them from coming over. You can't stop them from coming through. So you can only do what you can do, which is barely anything, because they got rid of the policy that was under Trump, which was the Remain in Mexico policy. Again, whether you love him or hate him, that is a real thing. That was a real thing that happened. They got rid of the Stay in Mexico policy, and then everything ballooned. Everything ballooned. All of the illegal aliens boomed right through the border, right into our communities and into our neighborhoods. Okay? But they play in our face, and Biden's like, oh, well, I can't do anything. You can't? Really? Because he is the one who put those laws that were in effect under the previous administration and wiped them all away. He wiped those laws away. He said, we're not going to do this anymore. Remember that? When he got into office? This was like in the first week that he got into office. Okay, so please don't let these elected officials play in your face. Okay, and yes, we're talking about the city that I live in has been run by Democrats for 50 years, so this is Democrat policy in action. Okay, they promise you one thing and then it never happens. Okay, empty promises, unfulfilled promises, and they're never come to fruition. You never see any action on any of it, and then the community and the people suffer. The same thing on the federal level. Whatever happened to all of the great things that Joe Biden said he was going to do? Nothing. Have you guys seen the infrastructure money, right? How's the infrastructure really looking in your town or stuff like that? Are the potholes fixed? You understand what I'm saying? It's 4 years in office. What's up with the broadband? Is the broadband better? You know, and it may be some in some certain small areas, but this is the stuff that we were promised. How about the tunnels? You understand what I'm saying? Are those fixed? You know, this is a real. What about? We should really talk about the trains, right, and the railroads and the railroad tracks and stuff like that. But if we start talking about that, that's too much like right. And if we start talking about things that are too much like right, nobody's going to want to listen, because when people hear stuff like that, they think, oh, well, I don't want to think about it because it challenges my preconceived notions and my preconceived beliefs. Well, listen, all I'm doing is presenting you with facts. These are all facts. It's not whether you love Biden, you hate Biden, whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, whether you like the current government that we have on the local level or you don't like them. These are facts. We have to understand the levels of government, what they do, and what they have the power to do. And when they do stuff that's not good, that's not serving us, or they play in our face, they take a piss and tell us it's raining, okay, that we don't go along with it. We are continuously being played by our elected officials, telling us that one thing is one thing and it's really another. But if we don't call them out on their BS, nothing will ever change. It's up to us as the constituents, us as the American people, to stand up, to unite around important issues and hold them accountable. Not just at the polls, but definitely make sure that you go out and vote, and you vote these people out. Okay, this year there's a vote, and I tell you that as we speak about these policies, and again, it's largely because for 50 years, the Democrats have run my city, my area, my assembly district, the assembly districts around where I am. So that's why I say that this is all Democrat policies, because 50 years of one-party rule in this area means that no Republicans had anything to do with it. No Green Party had anything to do with it. Nobody else, no libertarians had anything to do with it. This is strictly Democrat policy in action. So if you are a Democrat, my friend, and you are listening to me right now, in November, consider voting Republican. I'm going to say it again. If you're tired of the crime, the violence, the high costs, the high prices, the high taxes, if your business is being hurt by the laws that are being put in place, the extra regulations, the extra taxes, the fake taxes that they call insurances, but they're really taxes, okay? If they're being hurt by all of those things, and you're a Democrat and you're tired of it, consider voting Republican. It's period, point blank. That's what my pitch is to you, okay? Because these are the people who are here, who are in charge, and it's the Democrats. And they keep playing in our face. Now, I've talked about the Democrats. Don't think that I'm not about to sit here and talk about some of these Republicans too, okay? Yes, I am a Republican. I am conservative, okay? I stand by that, okay? But the fact of the matter is I am an American first individual. So what matters to me is you. You matter to me. I can't tell you about all the other politicians out here, but I'll tell you this right now, as you hear my voice on this radio, as you hear or watch me through the internet, I care about you. You matter to me as a citizen, okay? And I believe that you should be prioritized above anybody else, anywhere else in the world, or anybody that is a non-citizen. You deserve first dibs, American money for American citizens only, period, point blank. Okay, we've got all these homeless veterans, we've got all of these people overdosing in the street, we've got a mental health crisis, we don't have any mental health institutions anymore to put any of these people in, and we got people running up and down the street acting like gorillas, talking about their monkeys and stuff, and people calling themselves, saying they're birds and fairyans and stuff like that. That is a very serious mental health illness. You're not able to be out in the public thinking stuff like that, okay? You need to be in a mental institution. You need to be able to get the 24-hour help and care that you need. There are a lot of people's families out there, and I live in Rochester, New York, and there was this one incident with this man who, God rest his soul, really needed that level of support. He should have been in a mental hospital, and his name was Daniel Prue. He should have been in a mental hospital. His family sent him here from Chicago, and then he got all hyped up off of drugs and stuff like that, increasing the level of psychosis and instability that he had. The hospital released him because they refused to hold him. Then he had an engagement with the police, because he was all doped up off of drugs, and then he went back to the hospital and later on ended up dead because of that lack of care, because of the fact that we don't have any mental institutions to actually take care of these people, because people's families aren't able to deal with these level of severity of mental illness. And we can talk about it and play about it all that we want, but again, it goes back to government and government policies and them telling you that something is important to them, but them never actually delivering. I've been hearing my whole life, the schools are important, this is important, let's increase the quality of the schools, let's throw some more money at it. Well, I live in the most funded school district in the nation, the RCSD, the Rochester City School District, most funded district in the nation. Well, second most funded district in the nation, neither here nor there. We have the most money per capita per student, and it's really crazy because we have the lowest rate of actual proficiency. We are graduating students, we only got about a 65% graduation rate. They want to try to say it's 70, but I guarantee you it's really more like 62, something like that. Either way, it's a failing grade. If they even did letter grades in school anymore, which they don't even do letter grades in school anymore, it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. It's so disgusting. It's bothersome. And this is what we have to deal with as the American people, as constituents, because we have to hold our elected officials accountable. One of the great things that they say is, oh, well, if you vote for me again, or, oh, well, if we had more money. And most of the time, it's never about the money, because the question is, how is the money being spent now? Again, going back to local politics, and I'm about to get to the Republicans in a minute. I'm going to come back. I didn't forget yet, okay? Because when you ain't right, you ain't right, okay? And that's point blank, period. Okay, very serious. We'll talk about that in a minute. But getting back to the local level, we got these people over here keep funding the schools every year, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 million dollars. Those aren't even jokes. Those are real numbers that have gone missing from the schools. Matter of fact, one year, $66 million was overspent from the budget. Explain to me how you overspent money and then can't tell me where a daggone dime went. Explain it to me. Explain that to me like I was 5. Okay, because it makes no sense, and it's a whole lie. Okay, and then they'll tell you that nothing was stolen. Bullduggery. Yes, I just combined multiple words, including skullduggery, together. Okay, it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, it really is, and they play in our face. And I look at everything on the local level when we are graduating these students, and listen. If you're not teaching the kids in school adequately so that they can be productive members of society, okay, what do you expect their opportunities to be? Where do you think they're going to get a job if they're not able to read or write, if they're not able to do basic math? Now, let's talk about that, how the influence of schools and the education system play into this. Right now, they've got all of these crazy fun things that they want to call DIE and stuff like that, okay, and they want to talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity, and all this other stuff and stuff like that, where they want to pump alphabet stuff down your child's throat in elementary school. In elementary school? In elementary school? Like, you're not even concerned about that type of stuff in elementary school, if you guys remember, right? Like, that was when others were still icky. Okay, that's cootie shot. Okay? Like, are you serious right now? In elementary school, you want to teach comprehensive sex education to kindergartners? This is a couple of real bills that we have in New York State, in the Assembly and in the Senate right now. It's absolutely abhorrent. Again, who's pushing these bills? These are Democrats pushing these bills. These are Democrat policies that they're trying to institute, and they'll sell it to you like it's a good thing. But let's go back to the DIE and stuff in the schools. They're trying to push alphabetism. They're trying to push transgenderism. They're trying to push all of this concept of insanity, right? And they tried to get it in there under the guise of pro-blackness. And then they always try to attach the alphabet stuff to the black people. We didn't ask for that. We didn't ask for any of your alphabetism. Black people never asked for that. The Black Council did not get together and say, yes, we want to be attached to your alphabet flag. None of us ever did that. Okay, because the fact of the matter is no, we do not want that attached to us. We are our own thing, and we have our own issues. If you want to attach everybody to your alphabetism, you go ahead and do that, but you leave us black people to our own affairs and let us handle our own stuff, because we have issues that are now not being addressed because they want to lump black people in with the alphabet people, and the alphabet people got all these laws and stuff and protections and this and that and extra special stuff, and black people still have nothing. How much more so a regular everyday citizen? How much more so a white citizen? Okay? Can we talk about that? No, we can't talk about that. But this is what they're pushing in, and then they tell us that it's good for black people. But is it? Is it really? Because it's not. Because you're teaching the little kids how to protest and stuff like that and be social justice warriors, but you're not teaching them about the great things that the black people have done and the contribution of black inventors, of black architects, of black heart neurosurgeons, okay, of black astronauts. You don't talk about any of that. You want to make all this social justice and sexual nonsense into the schools when these children can't even read or write, and you refuse to teach them critical thinking. They got a bill now that they got a couple of bills, and forgive me for not naming them because it's like 3 or 4 of them and some other stuff going on there. We'll do another episode with all the numbers, and you can go check them out because it's insane. But again, it's about who you're voting for, and it's about, these are all the Democrat policies, unfortunately, but it shows you where their policies are leading us. So they got this new thing that they're trying to talk about, which is really a stripping of parental rights, which is going to be on the back of the ballot in New York State this year. They're trying to call it the Equal Rights Amendment, but it's not. We already have an Equal Rights Amendment in our Constitution, and it already protects everybody. But now they're trying to segment people more by limiting it more and more and more, which we know as you start to try to break stuff up more and more and more, you exclude more and more people. Okay, we know how that works. Don't let them play in your face. Don't let them take a piss and tell you that it's raining. Okay, this is what they're trying to do, and they're trying to convince you that it's okay, that everything's good. But you know what that does? That bill that I'm talking about that's going to be on the ballot for a constitutional amendment that they're calling an equal rights bill, it's not. It's not. It's going to open the way to make it so that if you are a parent, you have no parental rights. If you decide that you want to know if what your child is doing in school, they don't want you to know. You don't have to know. They can change your child's sex in school. You don't have to know. They can start. They've got all of these different clinics that they're trying to put on the school campuses. You got to watch out for those clinics that they're putting on the school campuses, because it's a part of the indoctrination that they're putting in the schools. Then they got the clinics to back them up, to pump them full of hormones, chemicals, shots, and all types of surgeries and stuff like that, as well as mental and cognitive indoctrination that they want to do under the guise of mental health. You got to really watch out, because remember, it's not about what it looks like. It's about the fact that it is the government doing it. And you, as well as I, know that the government doesn't do anything for the best interest of the people. It only does what it wants for itself to sustain itself. So you have to look at anything with very clear eyes that the government is doing and know that it is not for you, it is for the government. Period. Point blank. And that's how that works. And back to the indoctrination in the schools and everything like that. This weekend, Saturday, where I live in Rochester, they had these anti-American jihadists out in front of the county ledge building and in front of City Hall, and then they marched all throughout the downtown of the city, blocking up traffic, making it so nobody could transport for commerce or anything, so nobody could get through the road. Did they have a permit? Absolutely not. Okay, they were just doing whatever they want. They were downtown rioting, and none of them were locked up. Where were the police? Where was the sheriff? Okay, where is the county legislature? Where is the county executive on this? Somebody tell me, somebody explain to me how they're letting these people get away with this. Blocking traffic, vandalizing property, destroying property, public property. These are these same people that were part of the BLM nonsense, okay, that decided that they wanted to burn down and knock out and rob all of the stores in the black communities, talking about Black Lives Matter, but you destroyed all of the businesses and all the stores in the black communities. You make that make sense to me. These are the same people that were all, oh, we're pro-Ukraine, okay? After that, they were all, oh, we're pro-alphabet, then they were all pro-transgender. Then now they're all pro-Palestine, pro-Palestine. Let me tell you and let me be very clear with you all. These people don't care about any of them. They don't care about any of these causes. They are miscreants, okay? They are near the wells. They are very bad people. They are people that only want to destabilize and topple our government. They are out there waving foreign flags, okay, in favor of foreign nations while talking about there is no solution but a communist or socialist revolution. There is no solution except for an Antifada revolution in our streets. Let me be very clear. Okay, this is very important, and you can go look this up. Antifada is an armed revolution, an armed revolt against the government. So these people are encouraging and saying out of their mouths that they want to overthrow of American government in favor of foreign interests, not for the American people, in favor of foreign interests. So you really have to listen with your ears what these people are saying. And because they're not being punished, again, this goes back to Democrat policies, because they've made all these light on, soft on crime policies, okay, where you can't arrest anybody, and if they're rioting, they can do whatever you want. You can't use any smoke, or you can't use any pepper spray or anything like that in our city. That's what they've made, okay? But they got people out there at these ridiculous rallies, okay, talking about toppling our government, that are on the Police Accountability Board. If you can't tell me that that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. We got city council members out there doing that too. We got county legislators out there doing that, okay? Encouraging the toppling and destabilization of our American government in favor of foreign interests, okay? I'm a true patriot, okay? I care about my country, I care about you. But let me be very clear with something. If you're talking about overthrowing the American government and it's not in favor of the American people, you are committing treason. You are committing treason. And you need to be dealt with as such. Okay? You're talking about Trump and them decided that they were doing an insurrection. These people are legitimately out here talking about overthrowing our government. Our actual government, overthrowing our actual government. Who is doing anything about these people? They are growing in number because they are not being punished and they are not being held accountable because of the soft on crime policies that Democrats have put in office. And none of our neighborhoods, none of our communities are safe. So if you've been sitting on the couch thinking that this is just going to blow over, if you've been sitting in your car or at your office thinking that everything's just going to be hunky-dory, it's not. It's time for you to get animated and to get active and to stand up and hold your elected officials accountable. You need to be writing your elected officials. You need to be going to their office. You need to be telling them that this is not okay. You need to be going to the county ledge meetings. You need to be going to the city council meetings and telling them that this is not okay, that we must prioritize the citizens in our nation, in our county, in our city first. Okay? My heart goes out to people that are innocents that are dying all around the world. Well, let me tell you about how many innocents are dying and suffering in my country right now, in my city right now, in my county right now. You're not important to those people. Let me tell you what. You're important to me, though. You matter to me, though. But you're not important to them. And if we continue to let them go on, they're only going to become more riotous and more violent and grow in more numbers, because when people see that they are not going to be punished, they will continue to raise the level of misbehavior. It's like if you were babysitting a child, okay, and they're not your child, right? But you got your child with you, okay, and then the other child does something bad, and then your child is like, oh, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And you're like, you better effing not, okay? I dare you, you know? And that's exactly what it is. And you know, like if you've ever babysat little kids, that they will try you and see what they can get away with. And that's what's going on with these anti-American jihadists that are declaring war and talking about toppling our government in our streets. How is this allowed to go on? When will you, the people, stand up and say no more? When? At what point? It's time now. It's time to stand up. It's time to say no more. And it's also the top of the hour. So I'd like to thank you guys for listening so far. You're listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 FM. And if you're watching us on YouTube or on Rumble, make sure that you click like and subscribe. And if you're not, you can go to the Marcus C. Williams channel on either Rumble or on YouTube, and you can find us there. Make sure you like and subscribe for updated videos and stuff like that. And we really appreciate everybody who's listening on the radio. Thank you for supporting us. Tell more of your friends. Make sure that they tune into the show every Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. Now let's jump right back into it, okay? So these people are not being punished. These anti-American jihadists just get away with whatever they want, and it's not okay. It's time for us to stand up and take action. But we have to make sure that we are holding our elected officials accountable, that tell them that we do not want this, we will not condone this, and we will not be having this in our city, county, state, or nation, because it's not okay. But I tell you what, it's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. It's atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. And it's very frustrating too, because we can see it, but not enough. Where are our elected officials that are supposed to be against this? Where are they doing the videos and the stuff against that? Where are they standing up, encouraging us to take action against these foes, against these people who want to destabilize our nation in favor of foreign interests? Where are they? They're just sitting on their laurels. They feel like if they don't address it, if they just let it go, it'll fizzle out. It's not going to fizzle out. It keeps growing and growing and growing. It is a metastasizing tumor that is definitely vying to take down our whole body of government and politics. And then what will happen? It'll get bigger and bigger until it metastasizes, and then nobody will be able to stop it. They'll have to call in the National Guard, and once the National Guard gets here, which I'm telling you, that's part of another plan. We've talked about that on other episodes of the program before. That's what they want. They want to bring in the National Guard, okay? They want the state to be the ones that are in control of local policing, okay? You better watch out and you better pay attention. This is all part of a much larger game, okay? Wake up, people. Pay attention. Now, I promise you that we would also talk more on the federal level and other states, and that we'd get into some stuff about some of the Republicans. Right now, I want to take 2 seconds and I want to talk about Greg Abbott, right? So first of all, Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas, okay? This is something that I think everybody should be understanding of. Excuse me. We know for the last 4 years under the Biden administration that they have just been allowing illegal aliens to do whatever, the cartels to do whatever, and everything, and nothing has been done. But all of a sudden, now Governor Abbott wants to step up and talk about, oh, well, I'm doing something at Eagle Pass. I'm doing something. Woohoo, look at me. Look at you. Bro, you've been governor. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is his second or third term. Where you been, bro? Where you been? You saw this happening firsthand and you didn't stand up before this. Now all of a sudden you're just going to start to stand up now? Where you been at? You knew that it was bad. You knew that it's been getting worse, and now it's gone crazy. And now you want to talk like you're stepping up to do something, but you're also the same person that sent those illegal aliens all across the country. Don't get me started. Him and DeSantis too. You sent those illegal aliens all across the country. Now I got to deal with them up here where I live, and they're spending all this money on these illegal aliens when we got, what is it? It's something like 2,000 plus homeless children, of school-age children that are homeless in Rochester. Okay, we've got the third highest poverty rate in the nation. Okay, we've got so many families that are struggling with food insecurity and housing. Are you really serious with me right now? You're gonna play in my face like that? You sent all these illegal aliens everywhere across the country, you know, and it's nice that you wanted to share the wealth of the illegal aliens with everybody else. But what were you really doing? You didn't deport them. You didn't kick them out of the country. You didn't put them in prison. You didn't do any of that. You just encouraged it. You encouraged the human trafficking. Is that what we're doing? We're allowing our elected officials to play in our face? And I know many of you are like, well, I thought that he was doing a good thing, but was he really? Was he really? And at the top of the pyramid, everybody looks alike and everybody's part of the same families and the same parties and everything. They go to the same bankers and married into everybody else's family. A lot of these people behind the scenes, they might come to you one way, but really they're all serving the same greater purpose behind the scenes. You tell me what the purpose was of what him doing what he was doing actually was. You explain it to me. You explain it to me, because I'm sure if he wanted to contain those people, okay, that other states would have sent him more resources to do it, the same way they're sending him resources to barricade Eagle Pass right now. And Eagle Pass is only one small area. There are other areas that are still completely unlooked at. So disgusting makes you want to spit, man. I tell you what. Man, let me tell you here. Listen, it is a very serious issue that these politicians are out here and they play in our face continuously. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. Okay, I'm going to tell you like it is because I'm all about America. America is my priority. Okay, and making sure that you as an American citizen are thought of first by our government, are looked after first by our government is my #1 priority. We must return the power from the government to the people. Government has gotten too big and too unwieldy, and it needs to relinquish a lot of its power, and that power needs to go back to the people. There is no longer any privacy, okay? There is no longer any ability to even, many of you might have actually been sending texts and stuff like that, and you've gotten messages, oh, you can't send that text. You can't send that text? Who's out here reading my messages telling me what I can and I'm not able to send? See, this is a very serious problem. And again, we need to be paying attention to how this stuff is going on. And we need to be raising holy heaven on earth because of it. That's not okay. You shouldn't be telling people they can't send messages or they can't do this or they can't do that on their own phone, right? Like if there was anything with freedom of speech, you're like, well, it violates our policies. What do you mean? And these same people will talk about freedom of speech like it's something that they care about. Lies. It's all lies. It's all lies. It's all deceit. It's completely frustrating and very upsetting. And if you're not paying attention, I don't know what to tell you, but it's time to wake up. It's time for us to take action. And it's time for us to start standing up and speaking up. Because if we don't do it now, we never will be able to do it. And that's what I'm telling you. You are the last bastion of hope. You are the only people that are able to actually really make a difference. The American citizens. We have to start getting involved in politics. If we do not, then nothing will ever change. If we do not now, then there will be no future. We must do it right now. And if we don't, trust and believe, the future, the dark days that you think there are now, they will be much darker, they will be much bleaker, and it will be much harder to come back from. So, let's move forward a little bit. So, on an interesting note, we've had a couple of Supreme Court decisions over the last couple of days, but I really want to jump into one that just happened kind of this morning. Donald Trump, he actually was able to stay on the Colorado ballot and the other ballots because the United States Supreme Court unanimously voted to make it so he can actually stay on there, saying that they don't have grounds I don't know what you would call it, disband, disbar, there wouldn't be any of those things, but kick off, I guess, to kick him off the ballot, which is really, really what they're supposed to do, right? Because there's a complete lack of constitutionality of these states trying to do that, okay? They try to say, oh, well, he did an insurrection, but he was never charged with insurrection. And in order for somebody to be charged with insurrection, they'd have had to put it through Congress. That never happened. So you're trying to say something that's supposed to be something on a federal level, but it never happened on a federal level. It never went through Congress. It's kind of like an impeachment. That would be a charge that would have to be brought by them. So if you are paying attention to what's going on, more and more states are out there trying to kick people off the ballot. And you don't have to like Trump, right? You might even hate him, right? But the question is should they be able to stop you in a federal election for voting for who you want to? Because if they can do it on a federal level, they'll probably do it on a state or a local level. Then you might not be able to vote for your candidate. And everything's fine and hunky-dory until it's your person or your candidate or you who are the person that's affected. But you have to think forward and you have to see what's actually happening and you have to understand what's really going on. Because if we don't see, then, let me ask you a question. Who do you think is going to stand up, if not you? then who? Who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand up for your rights? It's like that one poem. How's the poem go? Basically, it's the "They Came For" poem that came out of Nazi Germany. And it said, first they came for the communists, then they came for the trade unionists, then they came for the Christians, then they came for all these other people. And then it says, I didn't speak up, right? So first they came for them, I didn't speak up. Then they came for them, I didn't speak up. Then when it got to me, there was nobody to speak up for me. Well, that's what you got to do. You got to speak up now for the other people, even if you don't like, because it's their rights. And if you don't speak up for their rights, by the time it gets to you, you won't have anybody to speak for your rights. And that's a real deal Holyfield right there, for real. For real. We must defend our rights as much as we would anybody else's rights. Okay, I said that backwards, right? We should defend anybody else's rights as much as we would defend our own rights. I believe that's I'm paraphrasing a quote by Thomas Paine there. But it's really very important that we focus on what's going on and we see that it's wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. You know, they say that there are many areas that are colored gray and stuff like that, or whatever the case is, but most of it is black and white. But they just try to reason it away and say, oh, well, it's not that bad. Oh, well, this isn't very serious. It's not happening, or they don't want to open their eyes and see what's really going on. Once they start taking rights away from those who you think are different than you, once they start taking rights away from those who you think believe different than you, they'll come for you. You'll be next. You'll be next. Don't think you won't be. It's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. It's frustrating beyond compare. Because the question is, where do we go from here? And the answer is, we're going straight to Hades in a handbasket if we don't actually turn back now. Something else I'd like to talk about that's going on in the nationwide news is Nikki Haley, who is still primarying Donald Trump in many of the states, just had a small win in Washington, D.C. Now, if you know anything about Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. is aggressively Democrat, okay? When the last election, 91% voted for Biden, okay? In this election, let me give you the numbers. Nikki Haley got 1,200 votes, so 1,200, and Donald Trump got 700 votes, okay? So that's barely 2,000 people that got out there and voted. You understand what I'm saying? So this wasn't a real bellwether of any kind, but it was just something for them to trump up and play up, like Nikki Haley is doing something. And I'm not a big fan of Nikki Haley at all. Don't get me started. I talk about her all the time. And I used to like her, right? Like, I thought that she did a decent job, you know, but now she's all pro-war forever. She's all about that forever war life. That's not okay. On top of being about that forever war life, she's also about all types of other things that are for taking the rights away from American citizens. She's for creating massive government overreach and stripping you of all your privacy online. She wants you to have a social credit score, and that's not okay. She wants you to have a digital ID. This is what she said, that she wants you to have a digital ID to make sure that everybody can prove who they are on the internet, and if they say something that you don't like, they can be taken off the internet and they can be shut down and their bank accounts can be shut down and all of this. We've already got a great example of this in the way that China behaves, okay? We already know they have the social credit score. So we have to look at what's out there and what's actually happening and pay attention to what's going on. I also want to talk about some other international news where we've got Haiti, right? Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what's going on in Haiti, but the Americans toppled the Haitian government, okay? They can say what they want. They say they don't do it or whatever the case is. But the commandos that went in there and toppled the government in a gruesome way, they killed the president of the country in front of his wife, chopped his head off, and it was absolutely abhorrent. Okay, there's more details to that, and it's just very gruesome, so I'm not going to talk about it on the air. Okay, it's terrible, but this is actual news. It's actually happened. And then it destabilized the whole country. Not that the country wasn't going crazy to begin with, but the president was trying to restore some normality and stuff. They really suffered under the COVID issues and stuff like that. But they suffered before that, after the earthquake in Haiti, where the UN went in there and gave the whole island cholera. The UN did that. Haiti never had cholera before. You know how you get cholera? From poo-poo water. So the UN had a base there where they were basing their people out of, and all of the runoff water, the slurry water from the poop and the pee and stuff was going right into the water sources for the Haitians. So a lot of them were catching cholera. That's right, the UN gave Haiti cholera. This is not an unknown fact. You can go look this up. Okay, it's terrible what the UN did, and they were never held accountable. Okay, never, not one time. So they were messed up, jacked up then, and you know Haiti's been struggling for a while. Okay, since Papa Doc and Baby Doc. Okay, long story there. You guys gotta go look that up. But when the Americans toppled their government, again, America says they didn't, but the people were CIA trained, whatever, da 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 da. Okay. Anyway, so when the president was, whatever happened to the president, I don't know what you call it, executed, terminated, erased, whatever you want to call it, the whole country fell into chaos, and the gangs started to take over. And people were trying to get out, and they were pleading to get refugee status to come into the United States. Do you know that we told them no, even though we toppled their government and knew how gruesome and everything was over there? But in the meantime, we're letting all these illegal aliens into the country. All the illegal aliens coming into the country, but Haiti, our neighbor right here in our backyard that really desperately needed our help, the refugees there really desperately needed our help, we turned our back on. We can let all these illegal aliens in. You make that make sense to me. That sounds like a very serious priority issue, you know? And remember, we owe Haiti a great deal of thanks for helping us in the American Revolution, okay? Let's not. You know, we really need to talk about these things, and it's absolutely disgusting the way that things are done, and it's so disgusting it makes you want to spit. It's terrible. It's terrible, and it's really, what's the word? Short-sighted, right? That's the word I'm going to go with. It's short-sighted. And you'll say, well, Marcus, why is it short-sighted? Well, because who does this destabilization of Haiti really benefit? Who? The elites, the affluent, those people, right? Not the regular everyday American citizen. It doesn't help us with trade or anything like that. So who does it help? The people that are over there buying up all the property and the land, like the Clintons. Oh, but we can't talk about that, right? We can't talk about the Clintons buying up all the land in Haiti or buying up the land in Puerto Rico, which is a whole separate conversation. But it's real. It's really, really real, and we need to talk about things like they are, not how we would like them to be, with a frosty, fluffy sense of niceness, and it's just bad, you guys. But it doesn't have to be, right? We should be encouraged that we, as the people of this country, can make a difference. Every one of us is individuals, but we have to, again, get active. And it's going to be up to you. If you're registered to vote, if you're registered as a Democrat or as a Republican, there's most likely a committee in your area that you can get involved with on the local level, so you can start understanding more about politics and how it works, even though it's so insidious the way that politics really works and stuff like that. But you can start getting involved, and that's how you learn more, and that's how we actually start to make change at the ground level. If you're a person that cares about America, I encourage you to search out your local party and find out where your local committee is, whether it's a district committee or a city or town committee or even a county committee, because it depends on what the population is, how small or how large the committee is. And that's what I mean when I say small or large. I mean the territory that it covers, right? So it's something that we have to do. It's our civic duty. It's our civic duty. It's owed from us to the country to serve our nation at that capacity, just on the local level. Being a committee member is like, what, 10 to 20 hours a year commitment? Like, it's not a big commitment, but it helps get you inside, to start off in the political arena so you can understand what's going on. And you need to understand what's going on. And you also need to be, it helps you meet the candidates firsthand many times and understand what their policies are and what they're looking for. It also introduces you to the people that are in control of the local politics where you are. And that's the only way that we get to change stuff, is if we start taking part and actually start participating. Now, I know I said that that's just as far as the Democrats and Republicans go, because I'm in New York State, and in New York State we only really have those two parties, but you also do have other ones like libertarians or working families and conservatives, and everybody but the libertarians has committees and stuff here in New York State, because the libertarians aren't recognized anymore, but in your state they might be. So they might have committees where you are. So look them up and find out. But it's very important for us to get involved, because if we don't, things will continue to slide. Things will continue to slide and nothing will change. Nothing will change. So back to the quick thing on Haiti. So Haiti's got this, I guess you call them, what do you call them, a gang lord or a warlord? I guess they're a warlord now at this point. That's all in control of the government, and they're forcing the prime minister to step down. And I'm not really into Haitian politics like that, because it's just too sordid and too big of an issue to get into for me. I got to worry about my own country. But it's not good. And those people are suffering. And we won't let them in as refugees, but we'll let all these illegal aliens in. You make that make sense to me. Now, we've got refugee camps all across the world that people are on long lists, that have been on lists for years to get into America, but can't get into America, okay, because they're way back on the end of the list now, okay, very, very far down for processing because of so many illegal aliens coming into our country. Shouldn't we first prioritize those refugees that have already been waiting? Can we talk about that? What about people's family members that they've been trying to get to come in through the right process for years, that they're still waiting on that ability to bring them over? Can we talk about those people? Don't those people deserve to come over? We're misprioritizing everything. Everything. And then let me tell you about the scam that they're running on us with these illegal aliens, okay? I specifically talk about New York State. So in New York State, we'll talk about public housing, and we'll talk about housing the illegal aliens. So it is more profitable in New York State to do housing for illegal aliens than it is public housing. So if you're an investor or you're a developer, who are you going to house? The American people or illegal aliens, right? Like, it's a money thing at that point. But we can't talk about that. But we need to be talking about that. Tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars are going to these illegal aliens every single year in our nation. In New York State, we're well into the almost $100 billion for these people between federal and state money just in the last year. Maybe even more. But can we talk about that? No, we can't. It's crazy. It's absolutely wrong. And we really, really, really need to talk about these issues, because if we do not, nothing is going to change. We have to be able to have the discourse and the conversation that are necessary without telling somebody, oh, well, I don't want to listen to that because I think you're wrong, or I don't believe you because I heard this or heard that, or whatever the case is. Well, maybe you heard wrong. Maybe you've been misinformed, but perish the thought that you might have to reconsider your preconceived notions. And again, I'm going to bring it back to the local level, right? Like the crime, the drugs and the overdoses, the mental health issues, okay, that continue to be unaddressed, the issues with the schools and the education system, the lack of jobs and lack of job stability, the crazy increases in taxes and then crazy increases in the cost of food. All of this comes directly from Democrat policies. So if you are a Democrat in the Rochester, Monroe County, or New York State area, I encourage you, if you're tired of that stuff, consider voting Republican. Serious. In November, consider voting Republican. That's what I got for you. And if you're considering switching parties because the Democrat Party has just gone so far out of the way that they've completely left you out, come on over. Okay, come on over. If you're concerned about America, if you are concerned about the direction that we're going in, if you believe that parents should have rights over their children and what their health information is, if you believe that schools shouldn't be teaching all types of salacious nonsense and encouraging sexual promiscuity and stuff like that, come on over. If you believe that we should be restoring education to the actual education system, basic reading, writing, math, and arithmetic, well, I just said math twice, but you know what I mean, okay, and basic science, that's something that we need to bring back so that we can be building functional human beings. If you're tired of the crime, if you believe that criminals should go to jail, you might want to even consider switching parties. You know, if you're tired of illegal aliens being prioritized over you and your family, might be time to switch parties. If you're tired, and again, you don't have to agree on all of this, but as long as you agree on most of it, you know, Ronald Reagan once said, don't throw out a friend that's 80% for 20%, you know. So basically saying that if you agree with somebody 80% of the time, but not 20% of the time, that they're still a friend and ally and you should be able to work with them. Everybody has different views and everybody has different thoughts. But it's important in America that we all come together under the flag of the United States of America and recognize that our best interest is the best interest of our people in our nation. I'll tell you a terrible interaction I had yesterday with somebody. So there was an issue where there was a conversation that we were having about people that were foreigners, people that were foreigners coming to America and then sending all of the money out of the country. And specifically, we talked about how serious it was where the black dollar does not circulate in the community very long at all. I believe the black dollar stays like 30 minutes to an hour, okay, in the black community. That's like what the average is. Don't quote me on that, but it's really bad. And for the white people and Chinese and everybody, Asians and stuff like that, everybody else that stays in there way, way longer for days and days and days and stuff like that. But in the black community, it comes and goes instantly, almost instantaneously. So I was saying that I think that it's wrong that these foreigners come over here and they send our money out of the country. And somebody was like, oh, well, we should be okay with that. That's fine. I said, excuse me? You're telling me that the American money should be taken out of American communities and sent overseas, which will hurt the economy and the community? That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense to me, and nobody should be okay with that. Heck, I'm not even okay with them sending money overseas for anything. More or less somebody coming to our country and then sending our money over there? Absolutely not. Not setting up no business here and then sending money over to another foreign country. You can't go to Dubai and do that. You can't. Look it up. Okay? It's insane the way that we operate in America. And again, these are policies that are in place that need to be changed. But they're like, oh yeah, we should let them do whatever. Absolutely, you're outside your mind. You're outside your mind because you can't go to one other country in the world where it's set up like that, where that will be okay. That's not okay. As American citizens, we must prioritize America first. We must prioritize American citizens first because you matter. You matter to me. I can't tell you about all these other people because it's very clear that a lot of these other fake politicians, okay, don't actually care about you. They don't actually care about what's going on in our backyard or in our pockets. You know, that's one of the big issues right now. They tax you to high holy heaven, right? And it's ridiculous. First they come in and then it's like, oh, we care about the citizens. Let's raise minimum wage. Really? But raising minimum wage increases inflation. So how is that helping? You look at McDonald's right now, they're getting rid of all the jobs. They're turning everything in their business to digital. You got whole McDonald's restaurants out here operating with just machines, no people. And McDonald's always prided itself on being America's best first job. Can we talk about that? So where will these jobs go? What will people do? And I already talked about how most of these kids that are graduating are functionally illiterate. So what will they do? Turn to crime and violence? People going to be starving out in the street? Come on now. Pay attention to what's going on. We got to be waking up. Because if we don't prioritize ourselves while we're sending billions and billions of dollars over to other countries, okay, Like the big two countries that everybody's talking about right now is sending billions to Ukraine and billions to Israel, okay? But we send billions to other countries too. We send billions to Europe. We send billions to Africa. We send billions to Asia. We need to stop sending billions anywhere. We shouldn't be sending any American money to any country. Unless a country is giving us a part of their country to make it a part of the United States, we shouldn't be sending them any money. We need to be sending our money inside our country. Let me tell you this right now real quick. I am a Christian, right? Okay. So I'm a Christian. I do evangelism and stuff like that. It's very important to me to encourage people to go to the teachings of Jesus so that they can grow closer to the Father, because I see that a lot of the emptiness in the world is caused by a lack of a relationship with the Father, with our Father in heaven above. Okay? It's very serious, and we need to encourage people to seek the teachings of Jesus and to read the Bible for themselves so that they can start to have a personal relationship with the Lord himself. Because that's where all this emptiness, where all this lack of morals, and where all of that comes from. But I say that and I bring that up because I know a lot of people that go out and they do missions trips and stuff like that, right? And when they go out and they do missions trips, most people that do missions trips, I have a lady that helps out at our church, and she's going to go do missions in Italy, right? So I was talking to some of these guys that they do different missions and stuff like that in like India and Pakistan, just some of the worst places to do missions. In the Philippines, and they're talking about, one guy was telling the story about how he lost 3 inches of his vertebrae because they beat him so bad that they broke his spine and all types of stuff and this, that, and the third. And you should hear the stories, the horrible stories, and you should see some of these videos of the stuff that's done to Christians in these other countries like India and Pakistan and in parts of the Philippines and in Uzbekistan, or what's the other one? Not Uzbekistan, the other one next to it. I can't remember what the other one is next to it. Kyrgyzstan? Not Kyrgyzstan, it's another one. It's right over there in that region. Anyway, but over there too, they do have those problems in Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan too. But I'll think of it and then it'll come to me. But anyway, how they're getting tortured and beat and stuff like that, and it's absolutely crazy and it's abhorrent what's going on there, right? So I'm watching these videos and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, it's really bad over there. And I'm glad that these people still have the wherewithal to go to these countries and preach. When you hear some of their stories, like these people were being beaten and broken up. And I'm not talking about the people that are over there. I'm talking about these people that were ministering over there. More or less the people that are over there right now that are being burnt alive and beaten to death and gang raped and all of this other stuff. It's absolutely insane what's going on. It's absolutely insane and abhorrent that that's going on to Christians all across the world, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Hundreds of thousands murdered every year, but nobody wants to talk about it. But I say all of that to say this, okay? I was talking to these different evangelists and missionaries that go across the world, and they were talking about, we have a lot of missions to other places in the world, but we really need a lot of more missions in America. We need missions in America. We need to have missions trips inside America, going out preaching the gospel and teaching the gospel in America. And that goes back to what I was saying. As far as American money going to other countries and stuff like that, we need to be putting American money into the American people's pockets. Perish that thought. Perish the thought that we should take care of home first. We got to take care of home first. And then you look at these people with all of these policies where they say, oh, we care about you, we care about you. You ain't never once heard any of these people talk about abolishing income tax so you can keep all the money that you worked hard for. Okay? Who have you ever heard say that? Abolish income tax? No, nobody say that. You want to talk about state income tax? Oh, they don't want to talk about abolishing state income tax. Well, but we should though. You work for it, it's your money, you should keep it. We already got everything else. We got sales tax, we got property tax, we got this tax, we got that tax, this insurance, that insurance, all these things that everybody's paying for. And what else do we got? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We got a whole bunch of nothing in America, but they send all our money overseas. Not a daggone drop or dime or nothing needs to go to any other country outside of America, okay, that isn't giving us their territory to incorporate into the United States. China does that. They'll be like, listen, we'll give you this money, but you're going to give us part of your country. And this is something that we really have to look at and pay attention to. What is our real gain? Who really is benefiting? Is it the corporatists at the top of the pyramid, at the top of the ladder of the elite that are really benefiting because they're the ones that are out here going and, what do you call it? What's the thing? What do you call it when they go to Congress and stuff and they're in their lobbying? That's what it's called. That are lobbying the Congress people and stuff to go to these countries and send these monies to these countries so that they can get more money in their pocket. Really, who's benefiting? Because it's not the American people. We got homeless people right here. We got starving people right here. That's why I can't. People are like, oh, we should give these people food over there. We got starving people here. Starving people here. You ever watch the Feed America commercials? They're like, one in three people is hungry. Goes to or 2/5 of the children go to bed hungry every night in America. How is that happening when we got money to send to all these other crazy countries? Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I was 5 so I can understand better. Depending on how you grew up, you might have heard, oh, well, you got to finish your whole food because, there are people in other countries that would eat that food. And then you'd be like, well, shoot, send that food to them because I don't want to eat this. It's nasty. Or I don't like this. Or whatever the case. In your head, you didn't say that out loud because you said that to one of your parents. You probably get knocked backwards, But I joke, but I'm also serious, right? Like, we're not sending them stuff that we don't want. We're sending them stuff that we need and we want right here in America. Right here in America. Could you imagine? We just sent how many billion? We've sent almost $600 billion to Ukraine. And most Americans don't know where Ukraine is on a map still. They don't know the history of Ukraine. They don't know anything that's going on over there. They don't know that they're forcing conscription of people over there and they are executing men if they refuse to actually go into conscription. They don't know about that and we don't talk about that. Why don't we talk about that? Because the Ukrainian men are over there being forced into duty to fight a war that they don't want to fight, that they don't think should be fought to begin with. But the people at the top of the pyramid, you've got Zelensky and Boris Johnson and Joe Biden and the rest of these people who are making money off of this war and using it as a testing ground for new military technology so that they can use it to pan it out on how this new military technology works, which doesn't even go to talk about the biolabs that are in Ukraine that we took all of our stuff out of. And you'll say, well, Marcus, the biolabs, nope, it's real. The biolabs are real. Look it up. They talked about it in the Secretary of Defense. Secretary of Defense talked about how we removed all of the samples and stuff from the biolabs when the war first broke out. So this is real stuff. Like, we were doing bio research over there that we didn't have no business doing over there because we can't do it here because it's illegal to do it here. But we can't have those conversations. We can't have those conversations, those real conversations of all of the people in Ukraine that are suffering because we continue on this war that most of them don't even want to fight. That's why you got all of these Ukrainian women all over the world and in America and stuff like that, because they let some of the women out, but the men had to stay. I feel bad for all of them. I feel bad for all of them that did not want to fight, that did not believe that this was a just war and they should not be involved. Every single one of them. It's hard that they're being executed over there for not participating, for not wanting to go to war. That's terrible. And this is Ukraine. I'm not talking about what's going on in Russia. This is supposed to be our allies. Ukraine went over there and they shut down all of the opposition media. They closed down all of the opposition parties. They stopped elections. How does that sound like a democracy to you? Stopping all elections and silencing all your enemies? Is that what you do? That sounds like an authoritarian, totalitarian state. They were burning down churches to this day. They burned down churches, raping nuns, and they're over there forcing priests and stuff to be tortured and stuff like that. And it's crazy because they're speaking against what's going on. God bless every priest and nun and parishioner that's over there in Ukraine that has suffered and is suffering. Okay, it's unacceptable. But we can't talk about that. But we get them billions of dollars. We almost gave them $1 trillion. Okay, so far. Why are we sending them our money? People don't even know where they are on the map. How is this war benefiting us? They'll tell you that it's because of Russia, and if we don't defeat Russia, if we don't stop Russia from taking Ukraine, then they're going to take the rest of Europe. Let me put it to you this way. Russia had Ukraine. Russia had those other alphabet states over there, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, the other ones and stuff too. They were called the Warsaw Pact. They were called the Iron Curtain. Okay, Russia already had all of those states before when they were the United Soviet Socialist Republic. Okay, when they were the USSR. Can we talk about that? No, we can't talk about that. And then we're talking about, that's just right before I was born, right? It's not too many years ago, right? Like, what is that, 94? Like the Soviet Union fell? Are we being real with ourselves? Like they were just part of Russia. And you're going to tell me that if Russia takes Ukraine, they're going to go into all these other countries? Why would they do that? Okay, why? It doesn't serve to benefit them. Putin might be a monster, okay? He might be the biggest spy since being a spy, done been a spy, but that man ain't stupid. Why are you trying to act like he is? To fearmonger and send money over to a country so that you can extort the American people and use it as a money laundering system to launder money back into your pockets over here of the elected officials and the companies and their cousins and their, with the nepotism and the cronyism of all of these other people. And who suffers? The American people. Who suffers? The Ukrainian people over there that don't want to fight this war, that don't think that it even makes any sense for it to be going on. You can say that if Putin wins in Ukraine, that it's going to go on to the rest of Europe, but it's probably not. Again, they already had controlled Ukraine, not even, what's that, 30 years ago? However not long 1994 was ago. You know? Not long. Not long. Just before my lifetime. Okay? Many of you listening right now, you probably remember the USSR. Right? So can we really have this conversation or not? Why are they playing in our face, sending all this money abroad? Then you got us sending money to all these other crazy countries and stuff like that. I don't know why we sending any money to Europe. Europe got plenty of their own money. Right? I don't know why we send a dime to Europe. Nobody can make that make sense to me. Okay, again, if they're not trying to become a territory of the United States or become a new part of the Union, we shouldn't be sending them nothing. Okay? Sending all this money everywhere. Australia too. Okay? That's part of Great Britain. Let Great Britain send them money. Why are we sending them money? Make it make sense. Then we got all these countries in the Middle East and we sending all this money after we blew them up. We done blew them to smithereens, and then we spending billions of dollars to rebuild the countries that we blew to smithereens. Didn't we blow them to smithereens for a reason? Then you're going to put all this money into their country after we blew them up? If you was going to do that, why'd you blow them up? We didn't want you to blow them up to begin with, but you did that. That was your decision. Now you're going to make us pay for you to fix this stuff? And then look at the countries. They're not even fixed. Look at Libya. It definitely ain't heaven. It's definitely the opposite of heaven. Isn't it? You know, look at Iraq, right? Look at Iraq. We destabilized that country already. We put billions of dollars into Iraq. What's Iraq look like? Okay? Absolutely crazy. It's insane that we're spending all this money all over the place. For what? Who is benefiting? Because it's not the American people. So sick of it. Sick of forever wars too, and them funding forever wars to fight all these terrorists and these this and these that. How about we stop blowing up people and then maybe they won't hate us forever? How about we stop toppling governments and then they won't hate us forever? And how about if we do either of those things, we actually take them over? How about that? That just seems like sense to me. I mean, our soldiers that suffer life and limb and many die, they deserve the spoils of war. Okay? They deserve the spoils of war. They fought, they deserve that. Give them theirs. Okay? It's absolutely abhorrent the way that we go about things. And then we try to be like, oh, ha 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 ha. We're so good and we're so heroes and we're all of this and all of that. Of course we are. But you got to act like it and behave like that America is your priority, not these other foreign countries and not the rich benefactors and the elites in Congress and those that are the corporatists behind everything. Can we really have a conversation? Man, it's outside of reasonability. It's so crazy, man. It makes you want to spit. It's very frustrating that we have what is going on right now going on continuously. And absolutely nothing is being done about it. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to leave this subject. American money, your taxpayer money, should be spent on Americans. It should not be spent on illegal aliens. It should not be spent on financing foreign wars. It should not be sent to other countries. We need to take care of America first. We need to take care of our families. We need to take care of our communities. We need to take care of our nation because people here are suffering. Now, I'm no isolationist, but I do believe that we need to return to focusing on manufacturing and development and production to the United States of America. But can we have that real conversation? Because I heard them talk about they're putting all this money for infrastructure and for the, in New York State, we got the CHIPS Act and all of this and all of that, millions and billions of dollars going everywhere. But where's the money? Where's the money? We're still missing. We had this crazy thing for photonics or whatever in Rochester, something like $500 million, and nobody knows what happened to the money. Everybody's still asking. They created like I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was something like they created 24 part-time jobs or something and one full-time job, and nobody knows where the hell the money is. What happened? Where's the money? Now they talking about they're investing all of this other money and stuff in up here and all this other stuff. Man, ain't nobody trying to hear that. Put that money back in the community where it needs to be. Okay, because you're talking about gonna make these highly specialized jobs and stuff like that can't happen. Nobody get no way because the education that's put forth in school is not leading them in that direction. They can't get it in college either because again, most of college classes are not oriented to that. We need people out here to be plumbers. We need people out here to be electricians. We need people out here to be carpenters and stuff like that. And we don't have enough of them. But we're not gearing them for that in high school and in college. Are we being serious? They got some vocational trades and stuff like that, but it's not a focus. It's not a real focus. And if we are going to change the direction that things are going, we are going to have to completely shift the focus of the educational system to provide the workers for the future in which is coming forth. As I said earlier, these jobs are being taken over by AI and machines. McDonald's is taken over by machines. Wendy's, Denny's, you go to Denny's, they got the thing to come to the table instead of the waiter to give you a little cart. You punch in the things that you want on there and it goes back to the back room and it gets stuff and it comes out and it puts food. You just take the food off of it. Come on now. Are we being really serious? We need to get with the times and see what's going on because if we don't, it's going to be a lot of people left to the wayside. They're talking about in the next 5 years that AI is going to get rid of over 70 to 80 million jobs. I don't even know how to count like that, right? Because I need you to think about this. 70 to 80 million jobs gone in the next 5 years. Think about this. Let me put it into perspective. We only have 310 million people in this country. 310 million people. That's almost a third of the people that are in the country that will not be able to have a job. Okay? And I don't even think that we got a full 2/3 working. So that's because remember, a lot of those people are children and not able to work or whatever the case, elderly, whatever. So are we being real with ourselves? And we're not preparing for this, but we're letting all these illegal aliens come in, and we're like, oh well, they're gonna pick the fruit. No, they're not. No, they're not. Okay, we used to have Mexicans that would come here and they come pick fruit and then they go back and then they come back and they pick fruit and stuff like that. But that's different than what's going on. These people coming from other countries from all around the world, okay, are not coming here temporarily just to go back to see their family. That's not why they're coming here. They're coming here to stay. They're not trying to be American citizens either. And we need to make sure that we're understanding that and we're talking about that in a very serious conversation and in a very serious way. Because if we're not, we are in serious peril. Did I just tell you that they're going to get rid of most of the jobs in the next 5 to 10 years? Can we talk about that seriously? Do you not see them automating everything? Now you go to Rite Aid or you go to Walgreens or you go to shopping and everything is locked up behind boxes and locked up behind walls and stuff like that. You can go to Walmart, and many Walmart stores right now, depending on what part of the country you're in, you can see these robots going around and picking stuff off the shelves. The robots picking stuff off the shelves. They got some places that are wholly designed warehouses that are only, we've got wholly designed warehouses that are only robotic. So you put in your order, they send it out to you, and that's it. And that's the direction that we're going. Now, if you go to Walmart or Walgreens or stuff like that, a lot of them want you to put your order in ahead of time. If you live in somewhere like California, where many places have very extremely high crime, most of the stuff there is already all locked up, so you got to pre-order ahead of time. I saw somebody do a report on a Walgreens in California the other day. They don't have anything out. Nothing is out. Everything is pickup only. There's a big wall and just a counter where you come pick stuff up at. It's madness. This is the direction that we're going, and when we get there even more, there are not going to be any jobs. The machines are going to do all of the jobs. So what are we going to do if we're not retooling immediately? You know, you can't have a computer programming job. Computer do better programming than you do. Everything's point and click, and you don't even have to point and click with most of the stuff. Some of the stuff you can just audio command and do stuff. It's crazy. It's really impressive, and people need to understand that. I'll just say, take an example out of what's going on with all of the AI right now, where you look at the AI and you can't judge if it's real or if it's fake. We need to be very aware of what's going on and cognizant of what's going on, because if we're not, we're going to miss out. Then you see, again, going back to all the rising prices of the housing and stuff like that, and people not being able to afford where to live. What you going to do when there ain't no jobs? And we're close to that point. And then what's going to happen with all these illegal aliens? Oh, all the illegal aliens, you're going to pick all the fruit. They don't need the illegal aliens to pick the fruit. They got 20, 50 different robots that pick the fruit. I love agriculture, so I know a lot of stuff about that. You should see some of these machines. They're amazing. They're amazing. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. They don't need these illegal aliens, and you ain't about to get none of, think about this. I need you to think about this. Most of the people that are coming into this country right now are coming from countries that essentially are like America in the 90s, right? As far as technology, access to things and stuff like that. Now, if you're a Gen Z, or not Gen Z, but if you're a millennial, or if you're a Gen X, especially if you're an older millennial, you might remember the 90s, the early 90s, right? Now you tell me anybody in the early 90s that you're going to be able to get out to go work in a field or get somebody to go work in a mine. Come on now. These people know what malls are and stuff like that. They've got them home. Okay? They're not trying to hear any of this, what you're talking about. They're not about to go do that. Because if that was the case, why aren't they all doing that? Right? And you'll say, oh, well, they can't get a work permit. You think these other people have work permits to go work in the fields? Don't play with me in my face like I'm stupid. Okay? You can't possibly really believe that. Come on now. Come on. That's not what's happening. These people are being brought here to be used as a military force, of mercenaries against us, the American people. And if we do not stand up and push back against the continual open border policies, and we don't push all of these people and send them all back to their countries, we are going to have a serious issue in this country. Because like I said, all of them jobs are going to be gone. The housing is going to be hard to get, like the people at the World Economic Forum and George Soros and the rest of them say, you'll own nothing and be happy. I promise you'll own nothing and only they'll be happy. And they're going to use the illegal aliens to actually subjugate you. They're already trying to put them in on police forces. They just graduated their first illegal alien class for the police for LAPD. They're not even citizens. Our laws don't even apply to them. They can't even legally own a firearm in the United States of America, but they're out there policing you about what you have to do and what you can and can't do. Are you serious right now? Are we not having these serious conversations right now? Are we being real? They're trying to put them into the military. I'm telling you, they're going to use these people against the American people, and you need to wake up now. This is all Democrat policies in action. So again, if you are a Democrat and you do not like what is going on, you do not like the direction things are going, I encourage you, consider voting Republican in November. You don't even have to change party to do it in the general election in November. You just vote Republican. But if you think that the Democrat Party has gone so far away from you and the values are just completely gone and they don't care about focusing on the American people, which we know that they don't, okay, even though they try to play in our faces like they do, you might want to actually change party. And that I support too. It's important that we refocus what our government is all about and on about by actually pushing a focus to the community. This is what we need. And we need people that are in the community to hold our elected officials accountable. We need people that are willing to go to city councils, that are willing to go to town councils, that are willing to go to the county ledge and actually hold these elected officials accountable. So it's on you. And that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning into The Divide. This is Marcus C. Williams. You're listening on WRFZ 106.3. And if you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys next week. Same time, 2:30 to 4 p.m. You guys remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well. I'll catch you later. Hello, good brother.
Yeah, Marcus, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I'm a bit tired. You went on one of those trips where you spend 3-4 days running around, eating poorly because it's mostly fast food, and missing flights because of rain or one delay after another, and gosh, man.